Though you don't tend to hear about the phenomenon quite as much these days, there was once a time when being a rock star or a diva pretty much required making ridiculous rider requests. But it's not just limited to musical acts, despite the stereotype. Actors also have it in them to make demands that normal people simply wouldn't dream of. So with that in mind then, I'm Ellie with What Culture, here with 9 more insane demands that famous actors made for movies. Before we start our official countdown though, an honourable mention has to go to Robin Williams helping the homeless. As you might expect from someone as well loved as Robin Williams, reports emerged after his death that he'd had a clause in his contracts intended to give something back. According to Brian Lord, when he attempted to hire Williams for an event, he learned of it. He stated, "I never actually booked Robin Williams for an event, but I came close enough that his office sent over his rider. I was very surprised by what I found. He actually had a requirement that for every single event or film he did, the company hiring him also had to hire a certain number of homeless people and put them to work. It's not at all insane, but it's incredible that the actor would be that selfless." Number 9. Gary Busey demands an accurate heaven. It almost feels like everyone who's ever worked with Gary Busey has a Gary Busey story, but the best comes courtesy of actor Curtis Armstrong, who worked with him on Quigley, in which he dies and comes back as a dog, obviously. According to his co-star, Busey ground shooting to a halt over a scene set in heaven because it wasn't accurate to his own experiences of actual heaven. It wasn't a contract demand per se, but it was a requirement for him to continue. Armstrong stated, Busey supposedly had done this. He'd been in an accident and died and came back. He showed up on set made to look like heaven, and he looked around and said, "I can't play this scene." They were 3 days behind at this point, but Busey said, "It's nothing like this. I've been to heaven and it doesn't look like this. That sofa's all wrong, that mirror is ridiculous, they don't even have mirrors." It was ridiculous. He was completely nuts about the design of heaven. And then, to top it off, he has a fist fight with another actor who was playing an angel and had also been to heaven. Armstrong continued, but then on top of it, one of the guys playing an angel had also died and come back, and this guy got into an argument with Busey about the way heaven looked. The two of them wound up coming to blows and they had to send everyone home. So there you go, that's what we were working with. Number 8. Lundgren demanded a 3-strike rule. There's nothing wrong with insisting on contract clauses that are designed to protect the star. So some actors will refuse to do nude scenes or particularly dangerous stunts, and you can absolutely understand that. You can even understand Dolph Lundgren's insistence on a clause in his movie contracts back in the 80s when he was just starting to get famous that helped him preserve his brand. While making Masters of the Universe in 1987, after only a couple of other roles, he was struggling with English to such an extent that director Gary Goddard wanted him dubbed. Cleverly though, he had it written into his contract that he had exactly 3 chances to get his lines nailed, allowing him the wiggle room to really get those takes perfect. Because somehow someone clearly signed off on them, which might explain why the film bombed so comically. Number 7. Jackson demands golf. When you're a hard-working actor who grosses phenomenal amounts at the global box office, you deserve your downtime. Hell, if you're making everyone else that much money just by turning up, they should probably pay you for the privilege of you relaxing on set, to be perfectly honest. And that's exactly what Samuel L. Jackson insists on, apparently, as well as making it very clear that he's in charge when he's on a film set, like anyone is going to argue. He spoke to the New York Times to confirm that he's contractually obligated to play golf twice a week while filming and that he just won't do extra takes. He stated, "I can be a hard taskmaster for some directors. I'm at that point where I can say, that's not going to be in the movie, right? We already got it. We got it when we did this, that, and that. I'm not going to do that." Nice work if you can get it. Number 6. Steve McQueen demands equality. It doesn't matter if you're the king of cool if you have a complex about working with another legendary actor, which seems to have been the case for Steve McQueen when he worked with Paul Newman in The Towering Inferno in 1974. The story goes that the pair had issues, to say the least, and they manifested in a fight over top billing on the disaster epic, with McQueen insisting on top billing and the exact same pay and number of lines as Newman, which must have been a nightmare for the writers and editors. A compromise on their conflict was reached with the poster, on which McQueen's name is first but Newman's is positioned slightly higher, the thing studios have to do for egos. Number 5. Roger Moore demanded unlimited cigars. If you're going to play a character like James Bond, you really ought to really live the part. That doesn't mean you should go around killing people with impunity and being a great big chauvinistic pig, but dipping your toes into the 007 mentality has got to help get into the right mindset. That is presumably why Roger Moore's first Bond contract notoriously stipulated that he had an endless supply of cigars. And because he was playing Bond, it had to be the finest hand-rolled Monte Cristo cigars, obviously leading to one bill on a single Bond movie coming to £3,176.50. Number 4. Queen Latifah demands to live forever. Some contract clauses are ostentatious and greedy, but others are just plain smart. That's definitely the case with the one inserted by Queen Latifah after she starred in 1996 heist flick Set It Off. In that film, according to Latifah herself, she died really good, I died my ass off, and elsewhere she'd also got attacked by a squid underwater and died under there. With those already on her CV, she simply stopped wanting to die in movies. After 96, she insisted on a clause in her contracts that says she cannot be killed off and that it's partly just simple business sense. She's protecting her own interests, stating, "I put a death clause in my contract right after that movie. I was like, wait a minute, I'm starting to die too good in these movies, and if I die, I can't be in the sequel. No more dying, that's it." At least she's got a good one in before she stopped. Number 3. Clint Eastwood demanded a romantic rival was fired. You know you've done something worthy of note when Hollywood literally invents a rule to stop your behaviour from happening again and then names it after you. That's how the Eastwood rule was born, off the back of The Outlaw Josie Wales, which saw the Western star wresting control from initial director Philip Kaufman. In a now notorious case, Eastwood hired Sondra Locke against the director's wishes as the pair clashed over shooting style and Kaufman's attention to detail. It also didn't help that both were romantically interested in Locke, who ended up in a long-term relationship with Eastwood, which Kaufman was allegedly jealous of. It all ended with Eastwood getting Kaufman fired and stepping into the director's chair himself, causing outrage amongst the Directors Guild of America and earning Warner Brothers a $60,000 fine. The Directors Guild then also passed new legislation called the Eastwood Rule, stopping an actor or producer from firing the director and becoming the director himself. Number 2. Tom Cruise demanded a Scientology tent. Say what you want about Tom Cruise, but he's definitely not a shy Scientologist. He's pretty much the religion's most public spokesman, and he took that to a different level entirely on the set of War of the Worlds. As revealed by journalists who visited the set near Los Angeles, there was a fully staffed tent of the Scientology organization right next to the food tents for the journalists and extras. Leanne DeVette, Cruise's sister and spokeswoman, called it a gift to the crew. To Cruise's credit, he was quite open about why he wanted the tent there, stating, "I believe in freedom of speech. I felt honored to have volunteer Scientology ministers on the set. They were helping the crew. When I'm working on a movie, I do anything I can to help the people I'm spending time with. I believe in communication." The volunteer Scientology ministers were there to help the sick and injured. People on the set appreciated that. I have absolutely nothing against talking about my beliefs, but I do so much more. We live in a world where people are on drugs forever, where even children get drugged, where crimes against humanity are so extreme that most people turn away in horror and dismay. Those are the things that I care about. I don't care what someone believes, I don't care what nationality they are, but if someone wants to get off drugs, I can help them. If someone wants to learn how to read, I can help them. If someone doesn't want to be a criminal anymore, I can give them tools that can better their life. You have no idea how many people want to know what Scientology is. Number 1. Will Ferrell wants a rainbow on wheels. And then of course there are some contract demands that are cut from an entirely different cloth, which Will Ferrell was obviously keen on proving on the press tour for Semi-Pro. Clearly channeling his lead character Jackie Moon, Ferrell made some outrageous demands according to a rider revealed by The Smoking Gun. As part of his artist requirements, Ferrell demanded an electric 3-wheel mobility scooter, one headset microphone, Janet Jackson style, one flight of stairs on wheels, a fake tree also on wheels, and a rainbow can be painted on canvas on wheels. Because why wouldn't you ask for them? And that concludes our list. If you can think of any other outrageous demands made by actors, then do let us know in the comments below. And while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe and tap that notification bell.